If you're a maintenance supervisor at a manufacturing facility and your machinery isn't working right, Grainger knows you need to understand what's wrong as soon as possible. So when a conveyor motor falters, Grainger offers diagnostic tools like calibration kits and multimeters to help you identify and fix the problem. With Grainger, you can be confident you have everything you need to keep your facility running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Bugs crashing your pack's party? Whether they've got paws or sneakers, your pack deserves a home that's protected from pests. That's where Wonderside comes in. Plant-powered protection made with steam-distilled natural essential oils that actually work. It kills and repels fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, and ants without questionable ingredients or overpowering smells. Safe to use around kids and pets when used as directed. Lab-proven to work fast. And proudly made in the USA. We offer sprays for pets, people, homes, and yards. Plus, spot-on treatments, collars, and even shampoos. Whatever your pack needs, we've got it covered. Founded by a pet parent looking for a better way to protect her dog Luna, Wonderside's now protected over 21 million lives and counting. You might have even seen us on Shark Tank. Go to Wonderside.com and use code WONDER20 for 20% off your first order. That's WONDER20 at Wonderside.com. Wonderside. Protect your pack with plant-powered Wonderside today.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Culturecast. I'm Chris Stachiw, and I'm joined by three good friends of mine. You have heard them before. You have heard some of us together. You have heard two people. Well, I think we've all been together at one point, but this is the first time we're all together in the same spot. Talking about my good friend, the host of the projection booth, Mr. Mike White.
Thank you for having me, Chris.
As always, when Cullen is here, host of... Cullen, what's the name of the radio show that you host?
The Alcohol and Tears Mostly Country Radio Hour.
And he is the owner and operator, along with writer on Pulp, Serenade. Cullen also programmed this month, and not far behind Cullen, you hear him creeping in the dark with his big owl-like wings and his big red eyes. It's Richard Mothman Hatem.
That's me. I'm here and I'm ready to go.
And see, that's all I can ask for, because it's February. We're closing out the month that was Noir films with a look at Bill Duke's A Rage in Harlem.
Lord, thank you for making me provident, for not putting obstacles in my way, such as women.
In New York City, somewhere above 125th Street, something big is going down.
There's gold in Harlem!
The squarest guy in town.
I'll have a milk, please.
The coolest guy around.
Give me your money! And don't think I wouldn't cut you, Reverend!
Have mercy, son.
And a very dangerous woman.
Excuse me, but, do we know you?
Not in this lifetime.
Oh!
In one outrageous night, they're going to turn the town upside down and start a rage in Harlem.
Mama, my God! He made it!
Forrest Whitaker.
You a virgin, Jackson?
I don't know.
Gregory Hines.
You get the woman, I get the gold. Woman, gold.
Robin Givens.
Will you marry me?
Maybe we should just try this out, you know? Like, for the weekend, huh?
And Danny Glover.
I do believe you and I were cut out to do business together.
Yeah, baby.
A Rage in Harlem. See it, or they'll shoot the dog.
Just don't let me see you shoot no dogs. That's where I draw the line.
So before we get started, Cullen, this is the first time you're on the podcast this month. So I just wanted to ask you, just quickly, of all the films this month, which of the ones did you think I would gravitate towards versus be maybe more averse to? I'm just kind of curious. I guess your reasoning for each pick.
Well, I was hoping you would like all of them, and I have been utterly terrified every week waiting to hear what you think. I picked these because I personally love all the movies. I also wanted to pick movies that I think are, under-discussed, undervalued, sort of a little off the beaten path, marginalized for one reason or another.
Have never been released on DVD, like The Kill-Off, or barely was on VHS for that.
I love The Kill-Off. I will just gush about that briefly. I don't know, Mike and Richard, if you've seen it. It's by Maggie Greenwald. It's her debut film based on Jim Thompson's novel of the same name. And hands down, the greatest American adaptation of his work. It is the only film in the U.S., I think, that comes close to capturing the tone of his novels. And I think it's an incredibly difficult tone. I like The Grifters, and this came before The Grifters. But Stephen Frears and Donald Westlake bonded over how much they didn't like the book and the problems they had with it. And they made a terrific movie, but it's, I think, more of a Westlake movie. And, the ending of the book is changed dramatically to give the characters an ounce of humanity, and more than an ounce of humanity. And if anyone is familiar with Thompson, there's not a lot of humanity left at the end of his books. So I really adore The Kill-Off, and I would agree with Chris that it stinks that it's only been on VHS.
Considering how it's filmed to be in the dark on purpose, and then the VHS rip of it is, well, it's dark, real dark.
And I chose it knowing that because it needs attention. Like, it's, 5 years, I think, before Reservoir Dogs. It's before The Grifters. It's before After Dark, My Sweet. Sort of, it's at that cusp between 80s and 90s. And when people talk about 80s and 90s noir, this just gets completely overlooked. Hopefully someone from a DVD or Blu-ray company or streaming company will listen to the podcast and contact Maggie.
And the thing that I said on the episode last week, and I'll say it again because I know Mike White will get a fucking chuckle out of it. If Kino Lorber is willing to put Transylvania 65000 on DVD and fucking Blu-ray, please tell me why The Kill-Off doesn't get mentioned in that same category as, like, semi-lost films. I mean, at least this film's not made by Dow Chemical Company, so automatically batting on the right side of the page, so...
So that's my gush for that movie, which I adore. Try and Get Me, which is also called The Sound of Fury, is by Cy Enfield, who also made a great movie called Hell Drivers. He's an American director who was blacklisted and had to work in England for a long part of his career. He doesn't get the due that he's, deserved. Certainly his career was completely derailed, and I'm glad he was able to recover and work in England. But to me, that is an absolutely chilling film. And it's, for me, it's kind of what the heart of noir is. It's a guy, in this case, he's a vet back from World War II, and he can't get off his feet, runs into, Lloyd Nolan, and kind of gets talked into becoming a getaway driver. And, he sort of knows what he's getting into, and just, even though he has his motivations, and things just keep getting worse. And then I picked, sorry?
No, go ahead.
La Noche Avanza, Night Falls. It's a 50s Mexican noir. And it just blows my mind every time to think about how many Mexican movies have not been released in the U.S. on VHS or DVD or Blu-ray. And even if they have, how many of them don't have English subtitles? It's,
Your kids could get free or low-cost health coverage from Medicaid or CHIP. Even if you've applied before, they may be eligible now. Kids up to age 19 are covered for checkups, vaccines, dentist visits, hospital care, and more. And if they already have Medicaid or CHIP, remember to renew every year. Visit insurekidsnow.gov or call 877-KIDS-NOW. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Bugs crashing your pack's party? Whether they've got paws or sneakers, your pack deserves a home that's protected from pests. That's where Wonderside comes in. Plant-powered protection made with steam-distilled natural essential oils that actually work. It kills and repels fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, and ants without questionable ingredients or overpowering smells. Safe to use around kids and pets when used as directed. Lab-proven to work fast. And proudly made in the USA. We offer sprays for pets, people, homes, and yards. Plus, spot-on treatments, collars, and even shampoos. Whatever your pack needs, we've got it covered. Founded by a pet parent looking for a better way to protect her dog Luna, Wonderside's now protected over 21 million lives and counting. You might have even seen us on Shark Tank. Go to Wonderside.com and use code WONDER20 for 20% off your first order. That's WONDER20 at Wonderside.com. Wonderside. Protect your pack with plant-powered Wonderside today.
So many fabulous movies that we just don't have access to. And this is just, grade A noir. It's one of the biggest scumbag characters.
That's the best part about it.
Yeah, there's no shot at redemption. He's a high-ally player and, screwing over women. He's a misogynist, sexist piece of shit and tries to weasel out of a situation and people try to fuck him over, and it's just kind of glorious how bad it goes.
It is one of the few films I have ever seen in my entire life where there is nary a fucking non-reprehensible character in the entire cast. The entire cast are just complete turds of varying degrees. So...
And then I picked Serenade Noir, which I did not realize at the time that it's actually on Blu-ray thanks to Film Movement. So, thank you, Film Movement. I saw that years ago at, I think, BAM. Then I saw it later at Film Forum. It's one of those movies that would always show here in New York on 35 because it was never on DVD or VHS. And it's an adaptation of Jim Thompson's A Hell of a Woman, which is my favorite novel by Thompson. And it's directed by Alain Corneau. And Corneau, for whatever reason, French director who made a lot of crime movies, just his stuff has never been available over here. And I already gushed about Kill Off. And finally, I picked Rage in Harlem because there are far too few Chester Himes adaptations. This is directed by Bill Duke. The cast is amazing. I think Duke 100% nails Himes' style, which is just so modern. It's so ballsy. It's so wacky. Himes is just amazing. And I don't hear this movie talked about much. I think Duke's crime trilogy from the 90s with this, Hoodlum and Deep Cover are just masterful movies. If I had millions and millions of dollars, I would keep giving him money to make more Chester Himes or crime movies in general. I would let Bill Duke do whatever he wants.
That's probably...
I'm out of breath. Sorry,
good
that was
policy.
Long. But anyway, I love these movies. Chris, thank you. Thank you so much for letting me pick them. Hope you found some enjoyment out of them.
Well, my opinions on the other three, you can find those on the RSS feed. But before I give my thoughts on this film, I want to go to our good friend from the West Coast, Mr. Richard Hatem. Richard, the hardest customer to please. I'm going to give you that moniker before you can do it to me. What did you think of A Rage in Harlem?
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I had a great time. I'm not really familiar with Chester Himes. I know his name. I've not read any of the books. But early on in this movie, you can tell you're dealing with, we're going to be dealing with some tropes. And we're going to be dealing with some, I don't know what you want to call them, stereotypical kinds of crime story characters. But we know that we're going to be sort of in a meta sense, sort of treading some well-trod trails here, and then it just becomes a matter of, well, how much fun do you have doing that? And that usually is in direct proportion to how much you acknowledge that you know that's exactly what you're doing. And bringing a little bit of style and energy to it. And I think Bill Duke certainly does. And I got to tell you, when Gregory Hines shows up, is there a more welcome presence in a movie than Gregory Hines?
I adore that guy. I think he brings really fabulous energy, especially to this role.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And just, you almost just feel like you're at a party where you don't know a lot of people, and then one of your good friends walks in, and you're like, okay, I'm going to be okay. I was worried for a second, but tonight's going to be all right. That's how I feel when I see Gregory Hines, and I got to tell you, man, that paid off. When he showed up, and I felt relief and anticipation, I was correct in feeling that because he really brings it.
What about you, Mike? Because you and I already kind of talked a little bit about this yesterday, but I'm curious now, given a couple more days to kind of ruminate on it, what did you think of A Rage in Harlem?
I'm still kind of ambivalent about it. I like you guys. I like the cast a lot. I love Gregory Hines, and I kind of wish that this movie was more Gregory Hines than Forest Whitaker. Forest Whitaker's character is a little tough for me to empathize with because he's kind of a goody-goody. He's kind of a rube. He just doesn't get how things are done. I like the more villainous characters in here much more than I can't really even call him heroic. He kind of just lucks into being the hero of the film. I really like, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, Badja Jola, who plays Slim. Man, he's a great heavy, and I almost feel like there's one too many heavies in here because I don't really get the Danny Glover character that much. He just seems to kind of drop in and peace out a little too often for me. It just, I guess sometimes it feels like the tone of this movie is a little confused as far as, is it going to be funny? Is it going to be deadly serious? You know, it's like, you can be funny and serious, but it goes from like funny to deadly serious on a turn of a dime, which I can respect, but there were times where I was just like, are people making a comedy? Do the actors know that this is funny, or do they think this is serious, or do they think that it's serious and it's actually funny? So I just was having some tone issues.
You know, I see what you mean, Mike, but that's one of the things I actually really like about it, and it's one of the things I remember really liking about Hines's novels. I read this one a very long time ago, along with Real Cool Killers, in that there's something, it's like a little hard-boiled, but it's like a little satirical, but it's also a little bit more brutal and a little comic booky. And I think, Richard, you sort of mentioned that it seems to be knowingly playing into archetypes. And I think that is 100% correct. There is sort of an awareness of what's happening. And it worked for me, sort of the shifts in tones.
Yeah, I think it sort of lives in sort of the neighborhood of Quentin Tarantino and kind of in the neighborhood of even like Robert Rodriguez or something, where you're in a genre, there's plenty of blood, but you definitely feel like the filmmakers are understand what they're doing. You're kind of on the same side of the joke.
So, you know what this film reminds me of? And so I was thinking about this, Mike, because I think you bringing up the tones of the film and it just being kind of I'm not going to say a tonal mess, because it's not a bad movie. I would put tonal mess to a film that is not worth watching. It is tonally all over the place, perfectly fine if that's the director's decision. What it reminds me of a lot, with Richard talking about Robert...
Bugs crashing your pack's party? Whether they've got paws or sneakers, your pack deserves a home that's protected from pests. That's where Wonderside comes in. Plant-powered protection made with steam-distilled natural essential oils that actually work. It kills and repels fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, and ants without questionable ingredients or overpowering smells. Safe to use around kids and pets when used as directed. Lab-proven to work fast. And proudly made in the USA. We offer sprays for pets, people, homes, and yards. Plus, spot-on treatments, collars, and even shampoos. Whatever your pack needs, we've got it covered. Founded by a pet parent looking for a better way to protect her dog Luna, Wonderside's now protected over 21 million lives and counting. You might have even seen us on Shark Tank. Go to Wonderside.com and use code WONDER20 for 20% off your first order. That's WONDER20 at Wonderside.com. Wonderside. Protect your pack with plant-powered Wonderside today.
Hello, this is Aaron West. I am the author of the A24 New Wave. In this book, I look at A24's output and I make the argument that we are in a new wave movement right now. A24 plays a major role. This book has a supplemental podcast where each episode is a brief conversation about an A24 related topic, whether an actor, director, or even a genre. As I continue research for the book and conduct interviews, I expect to record podcast episodes with people involved with the company. You can find the podcast at cinejourneys.com or wherever you find podcasts, and we are proud to be members of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino, it almost reminds me of Once Upon a Time in Mexico, because it ends up just barely working almost in spite of the entire film, in spite of some of the bizarre performance choices, in spite of too many villains, too much stuff going on, which is one of my biggest criticisms with Once Upon a Time in Mexico is there's just too much shit going on. There's too many side plots that end up just being tied up quickly or completely ignored. And A Rage in Harlem suffers from the same problems, but similarly to Once Upon a Time in Mexico, I had moments when I was like, this film is fucking great. And then I had other moments where I was like, who the fuck's making this movie? Because it seems like four different people are making this movie all at once. And I'm not just talking about what's going on screen. I'm talking about the music, the cinematography, the actors, and the direction all seem at times at odds with one another. And that's very weird. And, you know, if you believe what Stephen Woolley has said multiple times that this was meant to be a comedy, I fucking don't know. I don't know where you guys come down on that.
I think to me it comes back to like, this is Hines's style, and like, have you all seen? I just watched for the first time "Come Back, Charleston Blue," which is the second film to have Hines's series characters,
Coffin Ed and Gravedigger Jones,
and it's the same thing. It's, you know, there's this plot going on. You know, this gangster they thought was dead is back to life. There's, you know, someone's running drugs. You have all these people cross-dressing as nuns. You have people jumping out of coffins with machine guns for, like, shootouts and cemeteries. You have people being butchered in, like, chicken or like, poultry factories. Like, it is, like, kind of moves between funny and crazy, and you can't really tell what's going on. And I feel like a lot of that actually comes from, like, the crime fiction tradition. Like, this is a gold medal crime novel from the 50s. A lot of that style of plotting comes out of the pulps from the 40s, where they just cram so much in that you kind of know what's going on, but not really. And then things just sort of magically come together at the end. So, like, I understand sort of all of your criticisms of it, and I think I would say you're accurate, like, in your descriptions of it. But perhaps because I'm more into this stuff, like, to me, it just works. But I agree with all the things you're saying.
If this is close to and or spot on with the source material, as far as I'm concerned, my complaints are coming from a place of me, not the film. I'm not going to sit here and go on and on about the tone of this movie because we'll just get lost in that fucking discussion for a half an hour. And that's not a discussion completely worth having because there were a lot of other better things to talk about with this film. But I will say, if we're talking about the only other film I've seen of Chester Himes, because I did realize about halfway through this movie that Gravedigger Jones and Coffin Ed are in this movie, even though they get mentioned by their actual character names like 45 minutes in, an hour in. I don't know if I like this more than Cotton Comes to Harlem, which is the other Chester Himes adaptation I have seen. And correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, did you join me for that one?
I did not.
Okay.
No.
Okay, I'm trying to remember who joined me, but I remember liking that movie, but that's also a Gravedigger Jones and Coffin Ed film, so it's just a different movie on the face of it. But
It's a terrific movie.
Yeah, it is. I remember enjoying it greatly. I will say that much. Not the same kind of movie as this one in a lot of ways, but at the same time, it is. But the one thing I did really, I mean, one of the things I loved about this movie is the cast. Outside of Forrest Whitaker, who should never have been in this film.
I disagree completely. He's fucking hilarious when he's like trying to rub her feet.
I have to agree. I've got to tell you, I thought this was the best I've ever seen Forrest Whitaker.
Whoa.
He's a great actor, but I cannot say that I've ever found him more engaging. And I've never been more like in his corner than I have in this movie. And again, yeah, he's a very extreme character, but I think that was kind of the genius of the movie is like, if I'm going to tell a story about people who will just murder their best friend to get a bucket of gold, who better to throw in the middle of that than a character you present as a guy who is so moral, you can't imagine him being swayed, and then throw him into the middle of this dogfight and see what it does to him. And give him something he wants, and now let's see if he can get what he wants and still be true to himself. That I can watch all day. I really enjoyed his performance.
I agree. The cast of this is fucking fantastic, and I remember Robin Givens being a presence, but I remember her more for her unfortunate relationship with Mike Tyson than her actual acting roles. And she really does a great job. And holy cow, is she smoking hot in this movie. And just, she can play that femme fatale role really well. Because I thought, like, okay, yeah, Robin Givens, yeah, she's pretty and stuff, but then she just pulled it together so well in this movie. The clothes, the outfits, everything is great. And I was surprised, being more familiar with Himes's other adaptations. I have not read any of Himes's stuff, so I was very surprised when this was set in the like the 50s, 60s, I guess, 50s more, as opposed to like the 70s. I thought that this was going to be a throwback to like a 70s blaxploitation film rather than like a little post-Cotton Club. Like when I saw Gregory Hines, it reminded me, I was like, oh shit, I still have that new cut of the Cotton Club I need to watch.
I just watched it like a month ago.
Any good?
It's about as good as the Cotton Club ever was. You know,
okay.
It's worth the time you spend. You know, it doesn't totally redeem itself, but it's like, oh, okay, yeah, it's good.
All right.
I agree. I think she's fabulous, and I really like the fact that at least I was rooting for her the whole movie, even though she is kind of, she's stealing the gold and, kind of wrapping Forrest Whitaker around her finger, and she's plenty bad, but you still root for her, and I thought she navigated that sort of line very well.
I mean, isn't that always kind of the point in these noir films, is to have characters that you can root for, but at the same time, they are somewhat on the... I mean, look, right, because when you talk noir, I don't know, like, the absolute morality kind of goes out the window in a lot of sense, because that doesn't seem to play into noir very often, because the absolute moral characters end up, like Forrest Whitaker, become less moral by the minute intentionally. And then, I mean, that's the thing, like you said, like, there are parts of this film where I'm like, what is going on with this character? And, like, why is she doing what she's doing? But at the same time, like you just said, Cullen, it's like, there is a purpose to everything. There is a point and a meaning behind each of her actions, even if it may seem kind of antagonistic in a way.
And her performance was really engaging. There, like at the beginning, I was sort of like, is this just going to kind of be like the Bond girl that's just sort of the girl? But if she gave any less of a performance, it would have so affected the Forrest Whitaker character, because you would have been so impatient with him for being willing to go to such lengths for her, and it would have demeaned him. And so in what might not be seen as like a very important role, it really is, and she carries it off. I was totally on board with him. I was like, "Yep, I'm with you, pal. You go get her." I get it.
The scene with Danny Glover's dog almost is like, it's almost like the microcosm of the things in this movie that don't work, but at the same time do work, because that whole scene is really tense. That there's a scene towards the end of the film where they're kind of having this Mexican standoff in the office over the gold, and Slim keeps saying "Pop goes the weasel," which is like his fucking catchphrase, and then all everything goes to hell, and Slim ends up having Danny Glover's dog, and he's like, I'll give you anything you want, just don't hurt the dog. And you're like, okay, great, the scene's going in an amicable direction, because I don't think anyone here likes to see dogs get murdered on screen. And he puts the dog down in front of the door, and I'm thinking nothing of it, because again, I'm assuming this movie is going to take this scene seriously. Shit you not, fucking Charlie Chaplin, Abbott Costello style, the dog gets smashed behind the door, and by one of the protagonists, not antagonist characters too, on top of everything else. It's super fucking weird, but it just speaks to what this film is going for, which is I think it's got to be the absurdity in these situations shining through.
Yes, I would agree. This is a very absurd movie.
I really like the side characters in this movie. I almost like the side characters more than I do the Forrest Whitaker character. So, like, the guy who's, like... And I don't know when Nation of Islam was founded. I'm not sure as far as how accurate the Claude X character is, but I love him. I love the one guy making a joke, I don't want a bean pie, like all that kind of stuff. I also really love the, is it Goldie? Not Goldie. The trans character.
Zach Smokey, Big Kathy.
Thank you. Yeah. Who keeps saying Goldie over and over and over again. That's why I was thinking Goldie, but that's Gregory Hines, a.k.a. Sherman. So I really like that character a lot. And I also, even though it was kind of jokey, I also like the blind man who can see, and just when he joins in on the action. Like at first it's like, okay, yeah, setting up the neighborhood with this guy, and who keeps like his head keeps whipping around whenever any of these attractive women walk by, but then eventually he kind of not necessarily redeems himself, but joins in on it. So these side characters, I think, add a lot of flavor to it.
I agree. I really also like the opening scene of the film. It kind of, if I think about the film in entirety now, it kind of puts the entire film in perspective in what the film is going for, because that first scene in that barn is very tense. Then yet you have this guy getting his wart cut off of his nose, and then all of a sudden it just, again, everything in this, every scene with guns in this film feels like a powder keg ready to go off, and you just see it keep going over and over again, because that scene, I didn't expect it to go where it went. It ended up going to a giant fucking bloodbath with essentially almost all but two characters getting murdered within the first 5 minutes of the film, and it's a really good scene that does a good job setting up what you should expect from this film, because again, it is just kind of this absurdist take on a mob, noir film. But I think, to your point, Mike, like, I think I like everybody in this film who's on screen less than Forrest Whitaker is, or the main characters. I guess Forrest Whitaker and Robin Givens, I guess.
I think I would like this one more on a second viewing. I'm not sure when I'll do that second viewing, but I think I would actually give this one another shot.
I hope you do. I've seen it now a few times and I love it, but one of the things I would have totally agree with both of you all about is, to me, like, I think one of the strengths of this movie is how richly designed it is, both in terms of like the setting, the costumes, and the people. Like, it really feels like, okay, you're in New York, you're on this block, you're in this church, and like the club scene when they're all dancing is amazing. And to me, that actually, I think his the inspiration is the cover of the Marvin Gaye album "I Want You," which I think was drawn by Barnes. It's called the Sugar Shack painting. But like, I feel like, Duke is really pulling from a lot of different music and visual, different cultural touchstones.
Yeah, Screamin' Jay
it's just such a rich. Oh God, he's so good.
Actual Screamin' Jay Hawkins, not someone playing Screamin' Jay Hawkins. Actual Screamin' Jay Hawkins, which is amazing.
I feel kind of bad that he has to lip sync. I Put a Spell on You, but it was nice to see him, and I don't think he lip syncs the first song he sings.
No, but the second one, I Put a Spell on You is definitely lip synced, and it's like because of how bombastic his performances were, you can tell immediately it's lip synced. Like it's almost so bombastic you can't lip sync that properly.
Right. But yeah, anytime he shows up in anything, he's fucking fantastic.
And I did like that Coffin Ed and Gravedigger Jones are in this film because George Wallace, I'm a huge fan of George Wallace. So getting to see George Wallace in a film, not just playing like a random 2-bit like comedic character, was really good because I don't know why, I'm just a huge fan of George Wallace for whatever reason.
Hey, you know what I really liked? I like that one dance scene or the performance scene in a club where the guy, there's a guy with the giant head with the arm tongue hanging out.
Oh yeah.
And he was just like a head on 2 legs.
Yes.
His tongue is like all over the dance. I'm like, was this a real thing? Because this is awesome.
It's fucking wild.
It's funny, Cullen, you brought up the Sugar Shack painting, and I'm just like, I'm trying to find who did the painting in Good Times, because Sugar Shack always reminds me of the Good Times painting. Is it the same painting?
No, I think Jimmy Walker did that. No, I know it sounds crazy, but I think Jimmy Walker was also an artist. I swear to God, I think he did that painting.
Well, I know he was always painting in the show, but I thought they had like another...
Bugs crashing your pack's party? Whether they've got paws or sneakers, your pack deserves a home that's protected from pests. That's where Wonderside comes in. Plant-powered protection made with steam-distilled natural essential oils that actually work. It kills and repels fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, and ants without questionable ingredients or overpowering smells. Safe to use around kids and pets when used as directed. Lab-proven to work fast. And proudly made in the USA. We offer sprays for pets, people, homes, and yards. Plus, spot-on treatments, collars, and even shampoos. Whatever your pack needs, we've got it covered. Founded by a pet parent looking for a better way to protect her dog Luna, Wonderside's now protected over 21 million lives and counting. You might have even seen us on Shark Tank. Go to Wonderside.com and use code WONDER20 for 20% off your first order. That's WONDER20 at Wonderside.com. Wonderside. Protect your pack with plant-powered Wonderside today.
Have you ever wanted to dive deeper into the horror movies you love? Beyond the Blood is a horror podcast for fans who want more than just surface-level screams. We do deep dives into the movies that shaped us, digging into director commentaries, behind-the-scenes stories, deleted scenes, and the special features that most people skip. Each episode is a love letter to the genre. We break down how these films were made, the creative risks that paid off or didn't, and the lasting impact they've had on the genre as a whole. From 70s slashers to modern nightmares, we celebrate the craft, chaos, and characters that keep us coming back. If you're the kind of fan who rewatches movies with the commentary on, or you simply grew up in the video store horror aisle, the Beyond the Blood podcast was made for you. New episodes every single week. Subscribe, let's dig deep. Welcome to the Beyond the Blood podcast.
Actual painter doing that.
I haven't seen the show in so long. I'm not sure what you're talking.
No, you're right. No, Sugar Shack is Ernie Barnes. I'm looking it up right now. Like, not like I know a damn thing. And then,
yeah, it is. It is that painting. I'm looking at it right now, and I can see it's the same damn painting. Okay, so no wonder it sounded familiar.
I mean, I'm just a huge fan of Jimmy Walker being Ann Coulter's secret boyfriend. So, dynamite! That is a real fucking thing. If you do not believe me, go look it up. Because
it is. No,
you've never given me any reason to doubt anything you say, Chris.
Well, that makes one of us. But fucking hell. Can Can we talk about another actor in this film that don't think gets enough love, and that is Helen Martin. She
yeah.
Oh my god. I've only known, because look, I have never watched Good Times, okay? So just put that in perspective. I know she's on Good Times.
Wow.
But I did and am still a huge fan of Don't Be a Menace to South Central while Drinking Your Juice in the Hood, where she plays Loke Dog's grandma. And she's amazing in that film. And in this film, she plays like almost the same character.
Oh, yeah. She pretty much, that was like her thing. Because I remember her on 227 was very similar. I want to say she was pretty much the same character in House Party 2. But yeah, she's fantastic. She's not as good as the woman that played Aunt Esther, but I definitely like her quite a bit.
She's the perfect embodiment of, running a boarding house.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the moment she steps on screen, like, she has fully embodied this character. It's not like, oh, what's my line to figure out? It's like, you are living this role. And I do feel like a lot of people in this movie sort of had that sense of, like, I know who I am. And I liked that richness about the film.
I did like the running gag about his mother's picture above the bed. That was pretty good. And the whole thing where people would say, who's that? And they'd say, Jesus. It's like, no, the other one.
I'm a sucker for those jokes, too.
What is so weird to me about this movie is, like, very rarely do I watch films that operate on their internal logic throughout the film. And this film's internal logic, I don't see any flaws with it. But I also have very few films that I can think of that go out of their way to stick to that internal logic. Because, like, this whole plot line of, like, a fucking trunk full of gold being toted around Harlem is insanity. Right. Insane.
It's ridiculous.
It is completely ridiculous, but yet I believe it 100%.
That plot makes me happy. If you all could see the smile on my face right now.
And, like, the thing about this month, Cullen, I would say for most of the month, I've been saying, like, this is completely busting my preconceived notions of noir. And this film took noir and just threw it out the window completely and said, I'm just going to do whatever the fuck I want here. I'll adapt this book and we'll do it our way. And our way ends up being this fucking nutso crime noir mashup comedy that, for all intents and purposes, should not work. And yet it does. And you gotta give Bill Duke credit, because he knew what he was doing in spite of the producer going, no, this is supposed to be a comedy. And you gotta give Bill Duke a lot of credit for keeping it together and making it work.
I do.
Yeah.
I give him, I adore it, so, as you all know.
Like Colin said, I would love to see him direct more stuff. I also like the movies that you brought up before, especially something like A Deep Cover. So I wish that there were more Bill Duke features out there.
And I know he's been consistently working, but I think Hoodlum was the last big budget theatrical film he did. Am I mistaken?
I don't think you are.
No, a lot of the other stuff seems to be like made-for-TV dramas or like small, very small indie films.
I mean, I remember Exit Wounds, which Chris will be talking about on his Steven Seagal podcast.
Yeah.
But I don't think he directed that. I think he was an actor in there, so sorry about that.
I mean, he's a great actor. I love whenever he shows up in any movie.
I mean, he's amazing in Commando. This Green Beret's gonna kick your ass.
Maybe I should have picked that for Noir Month.
To be fair, if you want to listen to a Commando podcast, that's amazing. Projection Booth. Mike already did a Commando podcast.
It is a great one.
I only say that because you're on it.
No, it's not because I'm on it. It's because you got to talk to like half of the cast of the movie not named Arnold Schwarzenegger. So, didn't you have Bill Duke on that podcast?
He was a bonus from a few years ago, so I did get to speak to Mr. Duke once.
But to be fair, yes, Commando's an amazing film. It would not have worked as a noir film, but we could have watched it. I mean, what would we have said? It's a good movie. Watch it. It's a lot less interesting in a lot of ways than this film. Not, Commando's much more successful in a lot of ways, but I rarely have I seen a film like A Rage in Harlem, because like you said, Mike, I do want to rewatch this, and there's not a lot of films that I watch and then I'm like, I want to watch this again. Like, within a day or two of watching it the first time. That is a very rare occurrence for me at this point.
And I think what makes me want to see it is because, I said that it has a tone problem. It keeps me guessing, and it kept me off balance through so much of it. I don't know if it was the problem with the movie or was a problem with me. I think it was probably more a problem with me that I was not able to anticipate the wild turns that this movie makes. And I kind of like it for that reason.
Yeah, it's not just like bang, 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 everybody dies. I mean, there is a scene early on where it's a dream sequence with Robin Givens, and I straight up thought that was, like, not a dream sequence. I was like, oh, yeah, Forrest Whitaker just got fucking murdered. Like, sure, why not? Like,
absolutely. I totally fell for that, too, and I was so upset. I'm like, you've got to be fucking kidding me.
Because how often do you get got by that kind of scene? It's, like, so infrequent. Like that scene, Mike, on your podcast, we're in the future, not now. In a future podcast of yours, we talked about one of the guests that you had on was asking about what was the first time you saw this kind of scene in a film. And I don't remember the first time I saw a dream sequence fake out in a film, but this is one of the most successful ones I've ever seen, and I don't know why.
Yeah, I think it's effective because it turns out being from the point of view of a character you don't expect. I mean, I know it's sort of, you have to apply retrospective logic to it, and it's also presented pretty naturalistically. But so effective because I don't know if there's any other way we were going to be able to really get her interior state distilled so perfectly. And when she woke up and we realized that was her dream and her fear, it's like, oh, I totally get this character now. And again, it's like, all right.
Hello, my name is Kevin Tudor, and I'm one of the 3 hosts of Almost Major, a film podcast dissecting many major indie studios and the films they release. Every week, myself, Charlie Nash, and Bryden Doyle discuss overlooked, forgotten, or bona fide classic indie films via studio-specific miniseries. We've previously covered numerous films from Artisan Entertainment, Lionsgate Films, and New Line Cinema. Titles including The Blair Witch Project, American Psycho, Dogville, But I'm a Cheerleader, Saw, Requiem for a Dream, and Ringmaster, the Jerry Springer film. Anyways, we have a fun time every week and we hope you will join us. Subscribe to Almost Major wherever you get your podcasts. Now proudly a part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Good. I like her. I'm on her side. I now I feel like I know her true feelings. No matter how she feels she must behave in any given real situation, I know where her heart is.
Oh. Rich, I think you're totally right in terms of analyzing the scene in terms of her perspective. And I would add, I think one reason for me it works is to go back to what Chris said, that opening scene of the movie just jumps to such sudden violence that at any given point you're like, is this going to happen again? And I think you are always sort of waiting like, holy shit, when are things going to get nutso again?
Yeah, I actually, you're completely right.
Yeah.
Like, this is a movie where anything could go wrong at any moment, and often it does. And when things go wrong, it happens really fast. And a lot of things in this movie are out of the character's control. Like, a lot of people are trying to do different things, and a lot of stuff is happening, but it's never what they want to have happen. It's not happening in the way they want it to happen. And I think that's maybe one reason why it feels a little out of control, because within the world of the movie, it is completely out of control.
I do like that he is a coroner, or works somehow at the funeral parlor, the mortuary, whatever you want to call it. So it kind of really puts us on edge with that as well, that he deals with death every day.
I also really like the brother relationship between the two of them.
Oh, yeah.
Because on the one hand, they're totally opposites, but at the same time, it's like, oh my god, they are such brothers. And especially when Gregory Hines is like, okay, you're going to kind of go undercover and you're going to put this really goofy mustache that looks totally fake and comic booky. Or that's Forrest Whitaker's own idea. He's like, just don't drink. And of course, Forrest Whitaker gets shit-faced drunk for the first time and he has that goofy mustache. And somehow the plan kind of works, but not in the way they expected. And just, Hines is watching the whole time, just like, oh my God. Yeah. Sorry, I'm smiling again. This movie makes me very happy.
I was going to say, I think what was at work in the movie is that you feel like as long as he's, those things where it's almost like a silent film comedy where a character will just be sort of like walking down the street with their nose in a book. Mm-hmm, and as they're doing that, a car goes in front of them and a car goes behind them, and then something drops right next to them, and all these things are happening right around them. But as long as they're just looking at their book, they're sort of somehow sailing through like an angel is sort of. And I almost feel like they were playing the same game with that character, where as long as he is himself, he will sort of, in a backwards way, come to no harm. But what you don't realize is that later in the movie you start to worry that but the minute he starts to actually sort of come into his own consciousness, and if he does, and that's when he becomes like everyone else, and now his protective coating is gone, and now he's as vulnerable as anyone else because he is now acting on his desires for clearly for Immabel. And without ever knowing it, you sort of sense that is where he will truly be vulnerable if he ever gets to that point.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way to put it because, he does have that sheen, that kind of, fools and angels type of sheen to him. So I completely agree with that.
And as we sit here and talk more about it, I'm lessening not my kind of distaste for the Forrest Whitaker character, because I don't think it's his portrayal that's the issue. I just have a hard time believing a character like him exists in a film like this. But I guess that's, once again, this film playing with my expectations of what kind of character should be the lead in this film, because a dopey fucking mortician's assistant is not the kind of character you would outright assume is in a film where within the first 5 minutes of the movie, 3 dudes have shotgun holes in their chest and that dude almost has acid poured over his head. So it's, again, I think a lot of my issues with this movie, like you've already mentioned, Mike, are more of a me problem and less of a movie problem. And that's something that all of us, I think, at least me, I've been mentioning it more on the podcast because that is an important distinction to make. Because just because I don't like something doesn't mean that's not what the filmmaker intended. And it doesn't mean that that's not what the filmmaker's going for. And it doesn't mean that that's not what the filmmaker's trying to instill within me or get me to feel that way. But I just, that Forrest Whitaker character is such a dope. A total dope.
One of my favorite Forrest Whitaker roles is Color of Money.
God, I haven't seen that movie in forever.
And the scene I really love is when it's him and Paul Newman are sort of playing pool and stuff, and Forrest Whitaker is sort of acting a little dumb and naive, and there's just a moment when Paul Newman realizes that he's just been had, and that Forrest Whitaker's been conning him the whole time, and just the look on each other's faces. Just it's very silent and very subtle, and all of a sudden it's just wow, this character is totally different. And I just remember just thinking oh God, Forrest Whitaker is just so good at getting into roles. That I love him in Color of Money. That's one of my all-time favorites.
I mean, he is still one of my favorite scenes in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Charles Jefferson is one of the greatest characters in that film because
I have not seen this movie.
Whoa,
really?
Man. So essentially, the setup is he's a football player, and his brother tells him two of the main characters of the film fuck up his car, and then they pin it on the kind of rival team that they're playing in the football game. And what is it, Joe Squires, The Stroke? Is that the song that's playing? I think.
Billy Squire?
Excuse me, yeah.
Could be. It's been so many. I saw that movie in high school.
No, that's fair. But Forrest Whitaker's character goes ape shit on the rest of the other football team, and it's filmed in like this interesting perspective where it's almost from the perspective of the other football players, and you're watching Forrest Whitaker's character fucking jump over football players to get to the quarterback of the other team, and he looks like a fucking monster doing it, just like the best football player you've ever seen, because he's 6'4". He's a physically intimidating guy.
It's a wonderful movie, and if you haven't seen it recently, see it again. It like every year I see it, it feels more and more like an accurate representation of where I went to high school. I think I'm the only one of the four of us who went to high school in in Los Angeles, right? You guys are all East Coast or Midwest?
Yeah. A varying degree of spots, yeah.
Yeah.
Maine.
Detroit.
It is very much. I mean, that is a fucking 1981 LA time capsule.
So what Mike and Cullen are saying is Mike went to high school with RoboCop, Cullen went to high school with the Creatures of Lovecraft, and I went to high school with Walker, Texas Ranger. So we didn't go to school at the Fast Times at Ridgemont High School with oh god, what's the actress's name who plays
Jennifer Jason Leigh?
the red top Phoebe Cates, the red top scene. Yeah.
Right. No, actually, Cullen went to, there's a horrible story about Cullen. He actually got hit by a truck when he was young, and his parents had this cemetery in the back where people would put their pets.
Sometimes dead is better.
Oh, God. I love that movie.
Oh, my God.
So good. I watched because I grew up watching it, and I hadn't seen it in years, and they showed it at BAM a couple years ago here in New York. And, I went with, my girlfriend and some friends, and there was a group of people behind us, and there was a woman in the group that had never seen the movie before.
Oh, God.
And it was amazing, like, watching it with her. She was screaming, like, everything worked. And, like, it just really heightened, like, the experience of watching that movie. And, like, people were, like, there were a couple points, like, she gave the most, like, blood-curdling screams and dropping popcorn and shit. Like, people were cheering her. Like, it was great.
I mean,
like,
to be fair, most people who don't know anything about that movie wouldn't expect that within the first 30 minutes a child just gets fucking wrecked by an 18-wheeler.
No, they did not tell this person anything about the movie.
Wow.
Fucking Zelda in the back room coming out?
Or the fucking Achilles tendon cut? Oh my God. How do you, like...
Yeah.
What terrible friends, but hilarious friends that person had. Just, like, throw them into the lion's den and say bye-bye. That's amazing. Oh, boy. But yeah, no, Richard, we didn't go to the Fast Times at Ridgemont High School. I'm gonna assume you were Spicoli in high school, dude. Ordering pizzas, smoking joints, kicking your feet up on the desk, knocking the sand out of your shoes.
No. I was not Spicoli. I was not Judge Reinhold. I was the other kind of nebbishy guy who wore that hat and what was the guy? Robert Romanus or who's the guy who played? You know, the guy who plays the one who's selling the cheap trick tickets. You know,
right.
Always, no, I was the friend of that guy. I was the nerdy friend.
Yeah.
Brian Backer.
He's not the right. He's not the what are you looking at, Dick Nose guy.
That was not me. No, I was the other guy. But the one who's in love with the girl, but is clearly never going to get her.
Cullen, you really should watch Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Though, to be fair, it may play into something that we've been kind of examining on the Kulturecast, which is Cullen's aversion to high school age films. Which, Mike, I don't know if you've heard about this or not, but Cullen and I have just had very long conversations on this podcast about how Cullen didn't watch these kinds of films and how I'm subjecting him to them now.
No, that's actually a really good point, because I remember what you were saying about like father like son. But check out this movie, because it there's a level like there's a lot of really funny stuff, and tonally it kind of jumps around. But Amy Heckerling really wanted to make a movie that was really about high school, and there are some extremely like sort of graphic and not really fun sex scenes that go a little further than you expect them to, into an area of, oh, right, they're not just trying to titillate. They're trying to remind you how kind of not great some sexual encounters are in high school. And then it goes straight, from that, like the next scene will be the next day and a funny scene with Spicoli. But in the movie, they lobbied pretty hard for male frontal nudity because there's this one sex scene where they're like, no, we think it's important that we see both of these people and get a real sense of what they're both kind of feeling and experiencing and seeing. And of course, the studio was just like, that will fucking never happen. But when you watch the movie, you think back, you're like, oh, I know exactly the scene they're talking about, and I know why they wanted to. But anyway, I know we're talking about a different movie now. But Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
I honestly, Cullen, I would love to know your thoughts on the film.
All right, I'll try and check it out. It out.
It is. I mean, even Richard, to your point, like, I know we're completely off topic here, but it is. Like, as much as you said, like, oh, this is growing up in, in the 80s in LA going high school, like, there were things that happened to me in high school that I could see in that film, as I'm sure, Mike, you're the same way. Like, it kind of transcends, like, it is one of the few, like, high school comedy films that really does kind of transcend time, in a way.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But Forrest Whitaker's great in it, which is why I brought it up. Oops.
But he's a pretty minor character. I mean, it's Judge Reinhold and it's Sean Penn.
I believe it's Forrest Whitaker's like first named role in a film.
Yeah. Oh, and Ray Walston as Mr. Hand.
Oh, fucking A. So good.
Oh my God. Cullen, you gotta see it.
Okay.
Gotta see it.
This is a lot of recommendations. So.
And it is better than the Owl movie.
I believe you. As I said, Chris, you have never said anything to make me doubt your word.
But what if I told you it was like a live-action version of the Owl movie?
Well, I haven't seen it, so I still would say you have not said anything thus far to make me doubt what you say.
That's fair. But back to A Rage in Harlem.
I would just say thank all three of you for talking about one of my favorite movies. I really appreciate it. I thought it was a fun conversation.
Well, thank you for sharing it with me, because I guarantee you I would never have seen it otherwise. And that is why I like saying, like, help me program this month, please. Because I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know everything about movies. So if I say, hey, Cullen, I know you're super into noir. It's one of the things that, like, Pulp, Serenade and everything like that. And your suggestions have blown it out of the water completely. So, there you go. Thank you for doing an awesome job at programming Noir Month.
Oh, thank you. I had a lot of fun.
Me too. What would you give the film out of 5?
I know on Letterboxd I gave it 4.5. And I'll stick by it. I absolutely love the movie.
What about you, Richard?
Well, if 5 is like, my top movies of all time, and if Cullen, who really loves the movie, gave it a 4.5, then sort of, on a curve, I'm going to give it a 4, which means I really enjoyed it.
What about you, Mike?
When we started the conversation, I probably would have given it a 3, and it's definitely moved up to like at least a 3.5 for me, and it might be a 4 the next time I see it.
So, similarly to you, Mike, I almost wanted to say I would withhold giving this film a score because I want to watch it again, but I think, to your point, sitting here and kind of talking about it with y'all and really kind of breaking down and getting into the meat of the film, I'm going to give it a 4 because, again, I want to watch it again, and even the films like Try and Get Me or The Kill Off, which I did enjoy, varying degrees of enjoyment, I didn't want to watch them again. It wasn't that I didn't want to or had like a aversion to it, but it was just like, I saw it, I picked up as much as I feel like I needed to, and I'm moving on. This film, I want to go back to. I want to watch it at least one more time, give it kind of a different mindset, like you said, Mike, knowing where it's going, realizing that there is like a legit, almost fake-out ending at one point. It feels like the film kind of has a logical spot to end, and then it just kind of keeps going for another 20 minutes, which, when I was watching it, I was like, nah, okay, fine. But now, knowing where it's going and having that already kind of in my head, I'm excited to watch it a second time, so I'll give it a 4. Again, Cullen, you did a great job this month. So
thank you.
You are welcome. No, thank you, because you did the programming. I did the talking. So on that note, let's take a break and we'll play the first preview. I don't actually know if I can find a preview for this film, so I'll try to. But I'll play a preview for the next Culture Cast, which is the first Culture Cast of one Mike White March.
I'll drop you somewhere in the suburbs, untouched.
Untouched and in the suburbs? Oh, no. No, that doesn't intrigue me at all.
Please?
With pleasure.
Thank you.
If you'll come with me.
What?
What do you expect me to do in there alone? I'm a respectable woman, and I'm afraid. Don't you think I'm afraid? I can't close my eyes all night. Well, this is one night I shall be very glad to be with my husband. How do you know that?
I overheard your conversation in the bedroom.
While I was undressing?
You were everything I anticipated.
This gay romantic robber stole many precious jewels in his life. But he took something from this lady her own husband never knew she owned. Ah, but did he steal them? Or did she give them? It's Kay's big secret, and you will have to find out for yourself.
That's right. On the first podcast of Mike White March, we're going to be talking about Jewel Robbery, or The Jewel Robbery, which is a pre-code film.
So good.
I'm so glad you like that one.
That is, like, the movies you picked for the whole month are, like, my favorite pre-code movies. They are all absolutely superb.
I gotta say, that one I lucked into. 4 out of them, I kind of did like a going through a bunch of top 10 lists and just kept seeing certain titles over and over again. Jewel Robbery, I happened to catch on, I guess it must have been TCM or something, and I just loved it, and that pretty much is what gave me the idea to do the whole month. And then Blood Money, I was talking about doing pre-code movies, and a friend of mine on Twitter was like, oh, you have to do Blood Money. So I'm glad that you called that one out specifically on Facebook today.
Yeah, he only made a few movies, and they're fantastic. And the last time Chris, Richard, and I recorded, they got to hear me gush about how much I adore Roy Del Ruth. One of my favorite directors, super underrated. Blonde Crazy is amazing.
And so throughout the month, we're going to be covering Jewel Robbery, which we're going to be joined by Wake Up Heavy's Mark Begley. Mike will be joining me the entire month, which I always look forward to. The next week, we're going to be talking about The Divorcee, and Jess Byard's going to be joining us. Then the third week of the month, we're going to be talking Blonde Crazy, and these two cats, Richard and Cullen, are going to be joining us. And then 3 on a Match with our good friend Father Malone. And the final Culture Cast of Mike White March is going to be Babyface, and we're going to be joined by On Seagal's Trevor Gumble. So it is a very exciting month. I will say for the audience, I have seen I've seen none of the films from here on out for the rest of the year. Until the first episode of Mike White March, where can people find you, Mr. Richard Hatem?
They can find me on Titans on HBO Max, seasons 1 and 2, currently playing, season 3 coming in July.
Richard, I just read an article about how DC is going to be getting into the podcasting business. I think you need to hook us up, buddy.
Yeah, come on. Where's that sweet, sweet Jeff Johns milk money?
We want to be at the teat of Warner Brothers.
But seriously, you should hook us up, because we could use some of that DC money. I would all of a sudden really love Wonder Woman 84. Oh, yeah. It's the best movie ever made.
Yeah. Holy shit. Justice League 4-hour cut. What an amazing
I can't wait.
It's what we've all been waiting for.
It's a travesty Zack Snyder didn't get paid to redo his movie. Fuck me. On that note, Mike, where can people find you?
You can always find me at the Projection Booth Podcast, which is available at projectionboothpodcast.com.
And Cullen, what about yourself?
I should be updating pulp-serenade.com more often, but I will be doing that soon because I have a piece coming out at the LA Review of Books in March that I've been working on for months on Day Keene. It is a sort of piece about working class characters in his pulp and paperback fiction. And it's the first of hopefully several pieces on Keene that I will be publishing in over the course of the next year.
Well, and to be fair, Cullen, anytime I ever reach out to you on Facebook to chit-chat, either you're like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm editing, and I ask you what you're doing. You're like, working on my Day Keene thing. I'm like, we're in our lanes, man. We're here and we're
Day Keene is my life at the moment.
But as for me, you can find me on the internet, on Twitter, at Christmas Claus. I always wonder why we use Twitter, because everybody hates it, but yet so many of us do so many things every day that we hate. Why not just hate tweet things at the same time? That's where you can find me. Kulturecast.com is where you can find the podcast. You should go check out these dudes' podcast or website as well, or watch DC Titans, because, fuck Batman. That's what I heard. Or is it go fuck yourself, Batman, or is it just fuck you, Batman?
I think it's just fuck Batman.
It's just like, forget the you. It's just fuck Batman, and then we just go from there.
And yeah, that's where you can find me. That's where you can find all of us. We've already talked about it. Big thanks as always to these three guys for joining me, and big thanks to Cullen. And we'll catch you on the next episode.